We are here with Mark Neilson at the end of another show at York Hall. How did you find that show, Mark?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, we lost a couple of big title fights only a couple of weeks ago, so we're a bit worried about how it's going to work out. But we've shown a match, and we had some really good 50-50s on there tonight. I mean, you could tell by the response of the crowd that they really enjoyed it, and to finish on a big heavyweight knockout as the main event, icing on the cake.
We'll come to that knockout in a minute, but what I found tonight was the boxing was I really enjoyed all the fights tonight. They all seemed to go off. All of them was everyone was having it, and I thought the show in general, as much as you said, I knew about the Commonwealth Silver going and stuff like that. I imagine at the end of the day, after losing so many fights, it was nice to actually have a really action-packed night.
Yeah, we still had 9 really competitive fights. So, on paper, some of them didn't look as competitive as they actually turned out to be. There were some upsets on the night, but they're all evenly matched. And I think everyone in the casual fight fan, if they were here just to support their own fighter, they would have enjoyed every single fight tonight. So yeah, it's a really entertaining night, and night of boxing. And York Hall is just a great venue, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's obviously the home of British boxing. One that I would talk about, Harvey Smith. I knew won his fight. Frankie Story won his fight. Same weight class. Obviously, Frankie Story getting back in the win column. Harvey Smith, I think, looking in another great performance. Is that a future fight that potentially you could look at?
Yeah, we were sat there with his manager, Harvey's manager. We sat next to him during that fight, and that was being spoken about. There's got a good few fights to be made. We're sat there next to some of these managers at ringside, and we're making some really tasty fights as we're watching this on tonight. But we had a bit of everything, didn't we? We had the Albanians in, we had the Romanians in, we had the Czechs in, we had a bit of everything. We had the French in, we had a bit of everything tonight. There was a German, I think, on the card. Really international show tonight, but yeah, it was a great show.
The other one, obviously, the next Kande obviously come in. He has had this impressive record of knockouts and stuff like that against a really, really difficult opponent. Really put it on him as well. Obviously, I appreciate it. That was the Commonwealth title fight, but that was still a great fight, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for him as well, he's had a real high knockout percentage. That's probably going to make him easier to match because he didn't stop this guy. This guy doesn't get stopped. He hasn't been stopped for years. So if he'd have come in and done a number on him, it'd have been a nightmare to match. So, but he looked really, composed, really good. He's a high level, isn't he? He's going to go all the way.
Of course, I think so. And then obviously the main event, the rematch. I saw the first match. And I'll put it out on record, I still thought Louis Pachetti won the first match, but bone of contention. What I do like is they got the rematch on your show, and then he hits it with that big knockout. And I'll tell him as well, I thought he was 2 rounds down. To get that big knockout, that weight on his shoulders must have really, really been relieved.
Yeah, you could see the relief from the whole team. I think they wanted to put to right that wrong. And they certainly did that tonight. There was a bit of frustration, I think, in there. But Martin's no mug, right? You look on paper. They're both, 4-1. And, that guy was coming to win as well. So it was a tough fight. Fair play to him for jumping straight back into that. Credit to him, but he's done the job tonight. He's heavy-handed. You could see that. We thought entertaining, loved that. Great fight.
Yeah, and he's a great guy as well. I think speaking to him on a number of occasions, he's a great guy. So and for me, I was like, that's that redemption story, that redemption arc. Yeah. He's 19. He can go all the way as well.
Yeah, absolutely can. I mean, but the people may not know that his manager Victor Smith lost his child only a couple of weeks ago, which is why we had the 10 bells and there was silence for that. And the funeral was only yesterday. So, Louis at the funeral, his managers, and they turn up and then put on a performance like that. It just shows what kind of people they are. Fair play to them. They had that going on in the background. They still turn up and put on a performance like that. He can go all the way, this guy.
With yourself, what's next? Obviously, I know you've got a show coming up on the 24th. There's a lot of shows that you guys are doing, still smashing it out of the park. How's the rest of 2025 looking?
Yeah, we're looking at some really big things. We're back here the end of May, 24th of May. We're back here again the end of June. We're already, we've got stacks the other side of the summer, and we're already now making big fights and title fights for those dates. And we're also looking at other venues. We're going to go down to the South Coast. We're up in the Midlands. Yeah. So you got a little nice quicker trip home, mate.
Of course. And I do like the Kent venues. I'm a Kent boy. I want the Kent boys to do well.
Yeah, of course you do. So listen, it's going to be another busy year for us. Us working with John Chaturi on Team 1-4 on these shows is just working really well because we've got this huge pool of boxers. We don't want to blow smoke up the proverbial, but we are actually, running these London shows now. If you want to fight at York Hall, you got to come and fight for us. There are other promoters coming in, dipping his toe in, and doing an odd show now and again, but they're bringing fighters from far and wide. We've got all the contacts in London. If anyone wants to fight at York Hall in London regularly, they've got to be fighting for us, which gives us the benefit then of being able to cherry pick. We can sort of pick the fights that we want on our cards, because we all know in this game there's going to be these 10, 11 and 0, 12 and 0s. You're still fighting journeymen, and you think, well, what for? So they can go and find someone else's show. We want ones that are going to entertain. They're going to turn up. If you are a younger, sort of inexperienced fighter, and you're going in the journeyman, you're not hand-picking these opponents. You're going to go in there, and there's going to be somebody's going to turn on, put it on you, and you've got to be good enough. So, the fight fans win at the end of the day.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Mark. And as always, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.